Hello, my amazing students, and welcome again to your channel. If you're new here, my name is Clara, and today's topic is actually one of my favorites, because today we're not just talking about English, we're talking about your brain, how it stores English, and maybe why sometimes it feels like it doesn't. Have you ever had this moment? You study a word. You see it 5 times. You understand it perfectly. And then someone asks you a question, and it disappears, like your brain just deleted it. And you're standing there thinking, wait, I know this word. I studied it. But you can't find it. That moment is frustrating. And many learners think it means something is wrong with them, that their memory is weak, that they're bad at languages. But, that's not true. Your brain is not broken. It's actually working exactly the way it's designed to work. The problem is not your memory. The problem is how English is being stored. Let's slow down a little. Your brain doesn't store language like a notebook. It doesn't organize vocabulary in perfect lists. It doesn't save grammar rules in clean folders. No. Your brain stores language through connection, through emotion, through repetition, through experience. And this is where many learners make a small mistake. They try to memorize English. But memorizing is not the same as storing. Memorizing is short-term. Storing is deep. When you memorize a word once or twice, it stays in short-term memory, like a temporary file. But short-term memory is fragile. It fades quickly. That's why you can remember something during study time, but forget it during conversation. Because conversation requires fast access, and fast access only happens when something is stored deeply. And deep storage requires 3 things: repetition, emotion, and context. Let me explain gently. If you read the word confidence on a vocabulary list, your brain registers it, but lightly. However, if you hear someone say, "I finally felt confident speaking English today," and you imagine that feeling, and you connect it to yourself, that word becomes heavier in your brain, more alive. Your brain remembers things that feel real, not things that feel like homework. This is important. Your brain is emotional before it is logical. It prioritizes what feels meaningful. That's why you remember song lyrics from years ago. That's why you remember conversations that touched you. But you forget random vocabulary lists. It's not because you're bad at memorizing. It's because your brain filters information. And relaxed learners store English better because they connect to it emotionally. They don't just study it, they experience it. Now let's talk about something interesting. When you feel stressed while learning, your brain focuses on survival, and survival mode reduces memory access. So not only does stress block speaking, it also blocks storage. That's why relaxed practice is powerful. When you're calm, your brain absorbs more. When you're curious, your brain retains more. When you're emotionally engaged, your brain stores more. So maybe the question is not, how can I memorize more words? Maybe the question is, how can I make English more meaningful? Because meaningful English stays, and empty memorization fades. Now let's do something small together. Think about a word you recently learned. Close your eyes for a second. Say it in your head. Now, connect it to a real situation in your life. Imagine using it. Imagine saying it in a conversation. Feel it. That small emotional connection already strengthens storage because your brain now sees purpose, and the brain loves purpose. And here's something comforting. Forgetting is normal. It's part of the storage process. Every time you forget and relearn something, the memory becomes stronger, like a muscle. So if you forget a word, it doesn't mean you failed. It means your brain is building pathways, slowly. And slowly is okay. Good. Let's continue gently. Now I want you to imagine something simple. Inside your brain, there are tiny pathways, like little roads. Every time you hear English, every time you say a sentence, every time you repeat a word, you're building one of those roads. At first, it's small, weak, unstable, like a path in the sand. You walk on it once, and it almost disappears. That's what happens when you study a word one time. Your brain says, okay, maybe this is important. But it doesn't invest too much energy yet, because your brain is efficient. It doesn't want to waste storage on things you won't use again. Ooh, your brain is very smart like that. Now here's where repetition changes everything. Every time you come back to the same word. Every time you hear it in a different sentence. Every time you use it in your own speech. That small path becomes stronger, wider, more stable. And slowly, it becomes a road. And once it becomes a road, access becomes easy. You don't search for the word anymore. It just appears. That's what fluency feels like. Not magic, just strong neural roads. Let me say something important. Repetition does not mean repeating a word 20 times in 1 minute. That's forced repetition. That builds short-term memory. Real repetition is spaced, natural, calm. You hear a word today, again tomorrow, again next week, in different contexts, in different emotions. That's when the brain says, oh, this keeps coming back. I should keep it. And then it stores it deeper. This is why listening is so powerful. When you listen to English regularly, your brain is constantly building and strengthening pathways, even if you don't understand everything. Ooh, yes. Even confusion helps, because your brain is trying to predict meaning, and prediction strengthens memory. Now let's talk about something you might not expect. Sleep. Yes, sleep. When you sleep, your brain reorganizes information. It decides what to keep and what to delete. If you exposed your brain to English during the day, even just 10 or 15 minutes, your brain processes it at night, quietly. You don't see it, but it's happening. That's why sometimes you wake up and suddenly understand something more clearly. Not because you studied harder, but because your brain consolidated the memory. This is also why cramming vocabulary for 3 hours in one day doesn't work well. Your brain needs space, breathing room, time to organize. Relaxed learners understand this. They don't panic and overload themselves. They expose themselves consistently, calmly, and they trust that storage is happening beneath the surface. Now, let me ask you something softly. When you study English, do you give your brain time to absorb? Or do you rush from one lesson to the next? Sometimes, more input doesn't mean more storage. Sometimes, slower input means deeper storage. Now, I want you to try something practical with me. Think of one simple sentence. Maybe, I'm getting better every day. Say it once. Now, say it again tomorrow. Then again next week. Each time, say it naturally, in a different mood, in a different tone. That repetition across time builds a stable pathway. Not pressure, not stress, just repetition. Ooh, and here's something comforting. The reason you sometimes feel like you're not improving is because storage is invisible. You don't see neural pathways forming. You don't feel memory consolidating. But it's happening, under the surface. And one day, you'll use a word automatically, without searching. And you'll think, wait, when did I learn that? That moment is proof that your brain stores English quietly, slowly, but effectively. And here's the gentle reminder I want you to hold on to. Your brain is designed to learn language. It did it once before. It can do it again. You don't need a stronger memory. You need better conditions, repetition, emotion, calmness, context. That's it. No complicated secrets, just understanding how your brain works and working with it, not against it. Good. Let's keep going. Now I want to connect something very important, memory and emotion, because this part changes everything. Your brain does not treat all information equally. It gives priority to what feels important. And what feels important? Emotion. If something makes you laugh, if something makes you nervous, if something makes you proud, your brain marks it. It says, keep this. This matters. But when you study English like it's a checklist, word 1, word 2, word 3, no emotion, no context, no connection. Your brain doesn't see urgency, so it lets it fade. That's why you can remember a small, embarrassing moment from 5 years ago, but forget 10 vocabulary words from yesterday. It's not about intelligence. It's about emotional tagging. Ooh, and this is actually beautiful, because it means you can control how well you store English, not by forcing your brain, but by making English feel alive. Let me give you a soft example. Imagine you learn the word proud. You read it in a list. You memorize, proud equals feeling good about something. Okay, but now imagine you say out loud, I felt proud of myself when I spoke English without fear. Pause. Feel that. That word now has emotion. It connects to your identity, to your experience, and your brain says, this matters. That's deep storage. Now let's go even deeper. Fear also creates emotional tagging, but in a different way. If you speak English and feel embarrassed, your brain may store the embarrassment more strongly than the sentence itself. So next time you speak, your body remembers the feeling, not the vocabulary. That's why some learners freeze. Their brain is protecting them from discomfort. Ooh, your brain is always trying to protect you, even when it feels frustrating. So what do relaxed learners do differently? They create positive emotional experiences with English. They laugh while speaking. They celebrate small wins. They speak with friends who don't judge them. They choose safe environments. And those positive emotions strengthen storage. Your brain starts associating English with calmness instead of stress. And when that association shifts, everything changes. Now let's try something together. Think about a recent small success in English. Maybe you understood a sentence without subtitles. Maybe you spoke for 30 seconds without stopping. Maybe you remembered a word naturally. Hold that memory for a moment. Say this out loud. I'm improving. Feel the calm pride. That feeling strengthens neural connections. It tells your brain, this is safe. Keep going. Now let's connect this to speaking. When your brain stores English deeply, speaking becomes lighter. You don't feel like you're searching through a dictionary in your head. You feel like you're reaching into a familiar space, and familiar spaces are comfortable. Comfort reduces tension. Reduced tension improves performance. It's all connected. Memory, emotion, relaxation, confidence. They are not separate things. They support each other. And maybe right now you're realizing something softly. Improving your English is not about forcing more words into your head. It's about creating better conditions for storage. Calm listening, gentle repetition, emotional connection, consistent exposure. That's it. Nothing dramatic, nothing extreme. Just understanding your brain and working with it, not against it. Now I want to prepare you for something encouraging. Even if today you forget words, even if you pause during conversations, even if you feel slow sometimes, your brain is still building, even when you don't see it, even when you doubt it. Growth in language is quiet, invisible, but steady. And one day, you'll be in a conversation, you'll respond naturally, and you won't even notice how automatic it felt. That moment is not luck. It's stored repetition, stored emotion, stored calmness. It's your brain doing its job, and it has been doing it the whole time. Good. Let's bring this home gently, because now you understand something important. Your brain is not your enemy. It's not slow. It's not weak. It's just selective. And once you understand how it selects what to keep, you stop fighting it. You start cooperating with it. And that changes the whole journey. Let's step back for a second. If your brain stores English through repetition, through emotion, through calm exposure, then the question becomes very simple. How do you live with English instead of attacking it? Maybe the answer is softer than you think. Instead of trying to memorize 50 words in one sitting, choose 5, but connect to them. Say them out loud. Use them in a sentence about your real life. Repeat them tomorrow. That's storage. Instead of watching one long, intense lesson and feeling exhausted, listen to 10 minutes calmly. Let it sink in. Sleep. Come back the next day. That's storage. Instead of criticizing every mistake you make in conversation, notice the message you communicated successfully. That positive emotional tag strengthens memory. That's storage too. Ooh, and here's something comforting. You don't have to feel progress every day, because storage doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels invisible. But invisible growth is still growth. Think about how plants grow. You don't see them stretching every hour, but after weeks, they're taller. Your English is the same. Now I want you to imagine something again. 6 months from now, you're listening to English, and you understand more than before. Not because you forced yourself, but because your brain had time. You're speaking, and words come a little easier. Not perfectly, but more naturally. That future version of you is built by small daily conditions, not by pressure, not by panic, not by comparing yourself to others, by patience. And patience is powerful. Let's do one final small exercise together. Slow your breathing for a moment. Inhale gently. Exhale slowly. Now say this sentence calmly. My brain is learning English every day. Again. My brain is learning English every day. Feel how steady that sounds. Now this one. I trust the process. Say it softly. Let the words settle. Because trust reduces stress, and reduced stress improves storage. That's the circle. The calmer you are, the better you store. The better you store, the easier you speak. The easier you speak, the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel, the calmer you become. It feeds itself, and you don't need to rush it. You just need to protect it. Protect your calmness. Protect your consistency. Protect your curiosity. And let your brain do what it was designed to do. Learn language naturally, quietly, steadily. So if today you forget a word, smile. It's part of the strengthening process. If today you pause during a sentence, breathe. That pause is not failure. It's space, and space allows memory to surface. You are not behind. You are building, and building takes time. But time is not your enemy. Time is your partner. And if you give your brain the right conditions, repetition, emotion, calm exposure, rest, it will store English deeply, not temporarily, not artificially, but in a way that feels natural, in a way that feels like yours. And that is real fluency. Not speed, not perfection. Ownership. So go gently, stay consistent, trust your brain, and let your English grow the way all real skills grow. Slowly, confidently, without panic. You're doing better than you think, and your brain knows it.